I was sad to pass it to you, really, because I know how much you love football as well. You see, and
Yeah.
it's not the sort of news that you like to pass on, is it? Like you don't want to be the one, do you? Who have you heard this? Well, I don't anyway. But you know, all my friends this morning were sending the stuff and that, Brud, and
Yeah.
I thought, I wonder if the Seaman knows about this. I better make sure. And obviously, we're here now. You know.
Yep. Good afternoon, good people. You're watching the Chat Sports Show with Bruddc Nicky NU. Unfortunately, it's a sad day in sport today, guys. Some terrible news. Diogo Jota passed away in a car accident. And we're all stunned. 28. Is it 2 weeks after he just got married?
Two,
It's
3 weeks. Yeah.
Yep. And his last post was a picture of him and his wife. Football fans showing love, showing support, but it's a tough one. It's a really tough one. I don't know what to say in these situations. What do we say?
Well, I also want to point out that his brother passed away as well,
Yeah,
and
yep,
his
yep,
brother
yep.
is also a footballer as well.
Good God, it's good.
His brother's slightly younger, I think 2 years younger, but he was
Jesus.
following the same path as Diogo, and
Yep.
he was actually a footballer. I think he played for Penafiel or someone like that out in Portugal,
Yep.
right? So he's not a Mickey Mouse footballer himself, the brother. You
No.
know what I mean? And then obviously we then get all this speculation, and people start speculating, Brad, don't they?
Yep. Yep.
You know, and obviously people are talking about the speed. People are asking questions about the speed. I think that's going to be the most obvious comment and question that's going to come from a lot of people, Brad.
Yep.
We're going to
Yep.
want to know because of the nature of footballers and their fast cars or whatever. But I'm not saying that.
Yep.
But I wouldn't be surprised. Like someone said to me, they wouldn't be sort of surprised to find out. There's a couple of young lads who are probably in a nice car,
Yep.
and from what I read as well, there was a fire involved. So, by the time the authorities arrived,
Yeah. Yep. It seems. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't really sort of like for me. Like even if there was like whatever going on, like speeding or whatever, or race cowboy racing, whatever, it's just a tough one to take, really, isn't it? It's just really tough. Obviously, we we have to be careful when we're out there on the roads and stuff, and that's just obvious. But it's I don't know what more we can. I'm kind of speechless on this one, to be honest with you, because it's like what can you say? What can you say other than like I was saying to you off air, like life tomorrow isn't promised to anyone. Like no one is promised tomorrow. Like every day could be our last day, and we're never told when our day is, unfortunately. And
yeah,
whether it's reckless or whether it's just a freak accident. I just heard about yesterday. I just heard about a lady that was, I think she was 18 years old, and she walked outside her house, and a tile fell on her head and killed her. Like, what do you say to that? What, like, there's no explaining that. Like, there's no explaining it. Like, what can we do?
well, I don't know if that's comparable to what's happened to Diogo. What you've just said there, that's terribly unlucky. That's out of her hands.
Yeah.
That's a bit like those people who walk past those buildings in America in the winter and a bit of ice hits them and breaks their neck or wipes them out. Right? What can you really do about that?
I think.
That's why. But when you're in a car, there's someone controlling that, isn't there?
Yep.
Right? And then there's other people controlling the other cars around you as well. So the problem with cars, Brad, like even when I walk down this road, right,
Yep.
I often walk on the left-hand side because it's got a railing next to the what do you call it, the pathway.
Yep.
Yeah, because I don't really trust people enough that they wouldn't just, if someone's got diabetes and they pass out or whatever
Yep.
on the roads, right, they could fucking wipe me out.
Yep. For sure.
Could wipe anyone out. Now, I just want to sort of draw back to the speed thing again because I'm hoping that people don't
Yep.
like how can I put it? Like, just make the whole situation about, oh, he's a footballer, he's rich, he's probably in a fast car.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you look into it, Brod, you've got Mikel Antonio,
Yeah.
who shattered his femur in 4 places when he crashed into a tree. Then you had
Yeah.
Antonio Reyes from Arsenal, who actually
Yeah.
died in, I think it was June of 2019. But apparently he was doing something like 130 kilometers per hour at the time when he crashed his car.
Yeah.
And then there's a number of footballers, when you look into it, even people like Beckham had a crash with his son in the car, right?
Yeah.
I was reading an article now about some of the people who have had a crash, and it lists
Yeah.
Reyes. It lists
Jermaine Pennant crashed Ashley Cole's Ferrari, wasn't it, or something?
something like that. There was a
Yeah.
story like that, So I don't know, mate. I mean, I just hope it wasn't all that speed relate, because people are going to say, "Oh, it's his own." I don't, Brad. It's scary, man. Because as a footballer, mate, he's given us great times. Like, forget about who you support and who your team is and all that. You know, me and the big man here people, we're general football fans as well. Like, when Liverpool will play, we will both speak with respect of that team and the players. We have done. You've heard us do it before. Particularly difficult for this man here because he's a Man United fan, but the respect is there.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
I'm not one of those. I'm not one of those kind. Like, don't get me
no,
wrong. Like, for all the good support that I've seen on social media, obviously for the guy that's passed away, um, I've seen some very negative stuff. Unfortunately, that football is like it's kind of culty, kind of, in a way. Some football fans are, and the old school ones, there's famous songs that they sung about when Man United had that famous plane crash and we lost a load of players. Like, there's a song about that fans have created to sort of like to like taunt us, but. I'm definitely not one of those type of fans. I love my football. I support my team. When it comes to all this sort of crazy tribal stuff, that's not me. I'm not interested in that at all. Sort of,
yeah,
someone died, a young man dies. It's something that that's going to be sad for me.
yeah, yeah. And what a player, Brad.
Yeah, brilliant,
What a
brilliant.
brilliant player. You can guarantee when he's coming on for Liverpool, he's going to score. He's going to cause problems,
Hmm.
and he's going to do something. And we can also say that recently he's kind of been really given the green flag for the Portugal national team as well, like really inserted into the team and like fully embedded into the team sort of thing.
Yeah.
Brad, it's so sad to hear that you're going to get trolling over it. It's
Hmm.
disgusting,
Yeah.
Brad. It's disgusting, but I think that comes down to how a person's been brought up, possibly where they've been brought up might have something to do with it, who they've been brought up around. Have they had other people around them cracking disgusting jokes when they're growing up, where the parents are immature because they've had a kid at 16 or whatever? I don't know. I'm just speculating here, Brad, but, you know, it's the disgusting thing to do, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, and unfortunately, that's just where we are in terms of society at the minute. Unfortunately, and some people are just so like I said, it's kind of culty. Like I've had the pleasure of meeting some of these football fans when when I was doing security, and just even seeing it towards other countries when it was the England games and stuff, and the RAF from England shot you down and all that sort of crap.
So bad, isn't
It's
it?
it's really difficult to sort of like understand that sort of hatred, how people like to, like, it can't be good to have all that hatred inside you, man. All that hatred must destroy you, honestly. And it's just, you're continuously looking for people to blame for your sort of problems. It'll go deeper than football, like that.
I think so, yeah.
It'll
I
go
think so.
deep. It'll go deeper than football, and it'll go into life. And ultimately, most normal people will be very sad today, but unfortunately on social media, there's already little memes and stuff like that going around. What it is just like a smack to the face for everyone that may be out there, with a fancy car and doing things maybe they shouldn't be doing. Maybe it's a wake up call for, like, so unfortunately it's a bad one. People do get away with it. Like, I saw a video of this policeman pulling this guy over, and he was like driving a really fast sports car, and he said to him, like, look, I've literally just come. I scoop you guys up on a regular basis. This happens. drive more carefully. Like, you know, it's a big thing. And you know, people want, like, the speed limit's normally set is 70 miles an hour in most countries. Like, you know, and they come up with cars that can do naught to whatever it is, and this crazy speed, and like, you know, so it's you question a few bits there, here and there, don't you? Sometimes.
I've never been into. You do question bits, bro. You do question bits. I've personally never really been into speed. I think when I first passed my driving test, I used to have this little Metro, and I used to scurf around it in a little bit. But then I got to about 19, and people used to say, "Mate, like, why do you drive so slow?" Yeah, I've
Mm.
always been arm out the window, right, shades on, sit back. That's me driving.
Mm.
I personally, I'm not going to sit here like some goody broad and
No.
be a muppet, but I am people call me the cruiser when I'm chilling in the car, right? Because I drive very slow, yeah, and
Mm.
I'm cool with that. I'm never in a rush to get places.
Yeah.
I just don't see the point in speeding, mate. You know, I mean, maybe that's me getting older or whatever, but
Yeah.
I think if people are going to speed, they should go and race with Lewis Hamilton. If people are going to fight, they should go and fight Tyson Fury.
Yeah.
You know, and people should have a look at these things if they're really into speeding. And again, people, we're not implying anything here. This is just part of the conversation. We're not saying Diogo or any of or Mikel or anyone else has done this. We're older guys. We're in our 40s, man. We think about stuff like this. You lose your braveness as you get a bit older. You
You
know?
do, man, you do. I'm sitting here. Do you know, it's just totally off topic, but I sit here at the minute, and one of the big things for me is I used to love going to the fun fairs and going on these rides and stuff.
Yeah,
Nowadays, mate, oh
yeah,
my God. Like, you know, and nothing scares me worse. And then what makes it worse, you know, with social media, you see everything.
yeah.
And I'm seeing some of these carousels just fly off, like, you know, and people go flying straight out, seatbelts coming out, like, you know, you do turn really, really sort of like cautious, and like, you know, really sort of like, you know, on guard as you get older and stuff. But the thing about it is, you can't, like, you know, can you imagine, like, having crazy loads of money,
Well,
uh,
yes, again,
crazy
yes,
loads of money, then you're behind the car that's capable of just vroom. Like, you
yeah,
know, it's
yeah,
it's it's like, you know, we're only human, you know,
yeah.
we're only human. Like, I used to hire out fancy cars all the time when I used to go for my meetings and stuff, and I used to sometimes, you know, I'll openly say, you know, I used to speed, like, you know, I do, like, God knows what. I had them lovely BMWs I used to get, and I'm telling you, mate, you put your foot down, and it's just like whoom, and it don't even. And some of them cars, it don't even feel like you're going fast, but you're doing 110, 120. Like, you know, I've been there and I've done there, and you know, I've got away with it. You know, but some people ain't. Some, you know, not everyone gets away with it. Like, everyone's got their day.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's a tricky one, man. It's really tricky, and just,
Well,
you know, for Liverpool as well. Like, he's, you know, they're probably, you know, they've just lost a player, and it's kind of like, it's like, it's really, it must be like, you know, I mentioned Mason Greenwood, like, you know, just like we had this superstar player, and then all of a sudden he's gone, like, you know. But now, for Liverpool's perspective, their player's dead, like, you know, he's gone and dead, like, you know. So, do you know? I don't even know how they feel.
well, Daniel's given us a comment here. Thank you for your comment, Daniel Simpson. I'm just going to read that out for us, bud, if you don't mind. It says, it's like that, saying, be careful of what you wish for. I mean, again, like what Brod's just said there, we're a couple of guys and we're a little bit more mature, right? As cool as we are, as cool as we look, you may be surprised to hear that me and this man here are a little bit older, right? As cool as we are, right? But we can certainly empathise with someone who's got 15 years on us, like he's
Yeah.
just said a moment ago, who is at the top of their game, who is probably feeling very powerful and very happy and very explosive and great at all times because of the general buzz of life. You know, maybe you scored against a fucking top tier team last week or something, and then you've got the wheel of a car, a fast car. And again, when you are sort of age, I think if him and I was driving around in a Ferrari, it might happen next year. Whoever of us is driving, I think it would be the arm out the window. I think it would be the
Maybe a
oh
little bit,
mate, put
a
that
little bit,
tune on, you
a
know,
little bit, a little bit of. There'll be a little bit of
a
it.
little bit of that,
Yeah,
a little bit of
I
that.
suppose what Daniel's probably trying to say is, you know, is just, you know, just be careful what you wish for. You know, you get everything you want, and then what you wanted, what you dreamed for, ends up being your downfall and what kills you. Like, you know, and unfortunately, that's it. Life is really mean. It's like, I don't know if you know Katie Hopkins. Like, she was a model and she wanted to be famous, and she weren't getting no breaks. And then all of a sudden, she got into a relationship with this crazy guy, and he threw acid over her face. Like, but that's what made her famous.
When you say Katie Hopkins, we're not.
Not Katie
I
Hopkins.
was going to say you've got a name wrong.
What's the name? Sorry. Katie Piper. That's it. Yeah,
Yeah,
Katie Piper. My bad.
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah,
Katie Hopkins. That's wishful. Yeah, sorry, Katie Hopkins. You're still alive. You're still far right and still alive. Sorry, Katie Hopkins. I was speaking about her earlier. Yeah, but Katie Piper. Sorry. Yeah.
yeah. That was a girl whose boyfriend
Mm.
caused her problems, right?
Yeah, indeed. Yes.
And she's a very brave person, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to be fair, despite that acid attack, I think she's still quite pretty. Now. Like I don't know how they've managed to help her, but
Yeah. But that's a little bit of it, though. She wanted to be famous her whole life. She was desperate for it, and she got it finally. But she got it at the cost of that, like and it's just with this like people just need to be careful. People just need to you just need to be so careful. Like it's horrible to live like that, but you just need to be so careful
yeah, but
because
is it horrible to live like that? Because is it ever worth rushing for something? I keep asking myself, bruv. Is it ever worth rushing? Or if you're late for a meeting, why not walk in 15 minutes late, calm, relax, and say, listen, I'm late. I'm sorry. You know?
mm,
Or you're going to put your foot down for some idiot because someone's paying you fucking 40 grand a year.
yeah,
And you're going to put your foot down and then you spank someone off the road. You spank your car, you spin and you crash another car, all because you're trying to get somewhere. I think about that stuff, Brad. Like, when I see people rushing around, sometimes I don't like driving.
yeah,
Okay, I'll be honest with you, I hate it. Right, I can't think of anything worse than holding a wheel and going forward. Just hold it. I hate it so much. I feel so. I'm a dancer by things, so I like moving about. I like to be in a place where I can move and move my body. Right, I can't stand driving, mate. But people like it, brother. And, like I've got a couple of mates. They're into the racing. They're into the Lewis Hamilton and all that. And you do see people flying it around here. Like even round my road here, you see people flying around these kids, and you think one day, mate,
yeah. I know
some
that's
little
that's
kid,
that's
some
that's the worst of it when it's like public roads and stuff. Like me personally, I'm not gonna say I can't say I'm always a saint, but but on school roads and small roads like that, you do have to have a little bit of responsibility. Sometimes, like you said, you see these boy racers, and this is why their insurance. People moan about insurance for
yeah,
boys when they
exactly,
just pass their test
exactly,
is like 2 grand. It's
yeah,
because that's the most likely thing that's gonna like people worry about your kid being kidnapped, your kid being this, your kid being that. The most likely thing of something going wrong with your child is them getting in a car with their 18-year-old boy racer friend and killing themselves with it. And normally what happens, the driver normally survives and all the passengers die. Unfortunately, another kick in the teeth that life throws at people. Like just one of those weird things.
yeah. I mean, what I'd like to know, Brad, really is it would be nice to know. Well, not nice, but the details are still coming out about the situation, shall we say,
Mm,
right? And again, as we said at the start of the show, a lot of the speculation will be drawn towards a conversation of speeding, right? Unfortunately, that's how it's going to go.
mhm.
And I think if it does come out that there was excessive speed involved, I think people will be even more cutthroat about comments that are made. Some through jealousy, some through stupidity, some through simply being ignorant and nasty, like you said before. But I can't see if we're talking about a motorway, aren't we? Or an open road, right? Where
Yeah,
someone is overtaking on an open
overtaking
road,
and the tire, something to do with the tire
and
as
a
well.
tire burst, and you're talking 28 years old, a lot of money, and you put all that together, and unfortunately, people, I'm not. It's a difficult conversation because me and this guy here, we're not judgmental people, but we're also working on common sense as well. We look at Mikel Antonio, we look at Reyes, we look at some of the others. I mean, it even made me think about Kobe. You know,
Yeah,
even that
gee, oh,
was
that's even worse. That one, isn't it, boy? That's even worse. You think you've got all that money, you can buy the best of the best, and you've got a helicopter, and he goes down with his daughter and all those people. Oh, good God, man, that's even
because you
worse.
if you're Kobe Bryant, you have got a magnificent 40, 50 years ahead of you, right?
Hmm.
You have got anything you want to do, anything you want to eat, any time you want to get up, any place you want to go, any country in the world that you would like to visit and spend time in. It is tick, tick, tick. Any clothes you want, any holiday you want, yeah, it's there for him. Now, you know, obviously the person's passed away, Brod. So they're you know, we can state the obvious here, but it's just saddens me a little bit when it's someone who's been successful and disciplined and worked hard and that, and they've given us moments, whether it be basketball, whether it be football, they've given us moments, you know. And Jota's given us moments, mate. Even for Wolverhampton Wanderers, he was brilliant.
Mm,
It was brilliant for Wolverhampton Wanderers.
yeah.
You know, it's no surprise Liverpool took him, really. And let's be honest, even though he's been a substitution a lot of the times for Liverpool, he's very, very dangerous when he's coming on for Liverpool, bruv. You
Mm.
know, he always impacted the game somehow when he's coming on for Liverpool, you know. And again, just to repeat myself, mate, you know, the Portugal national team is becoming a more and more difficult setup to get in because of the quality since Ronaldo, Luis Figo, Deco, and all that. You know, their nationals looking very, 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 very strong now.
Mm.
They beat Spain recently, didn't they? Was it beat Spain? Unexpected to beat Spain, and they beat
Yeah,
them
yeah,
recently.
they did actually. Yeah, they did actually in
You
the
know,
yeah,
in
they
that
did
little
actually.
tournament thingy, whatever it was,
Yeah, yeah. There's been a lot of football, isn't there? Like, you know, there's been a lot of football, especially
World Club.
this Club World Cup thing. You know, that's and you know, Man City's had their ass handed to them and kicked out of it. Like, you know, so by Al Hilal,
I was surprised.
a Saudi team. You know, so it's
You know, Bud, when I saw that yesterday or the day before, whenever it was, I was a little bit surprised because, you know, just to come off the subject for a few moments, people, away from the Diego Jota situation, we'll talk about football a little bit here. I was very surprised to see Man City lose to a team of that caliber.
well. I I've been watching Man City, and I'll tell you for next season, if they don't adjust their system of the way they defend, I mean these guys. I've watched most of their games in this Club World Cup, and they are reckless. They are going forward with everyone, pressing from the front. It's good. It looks good to see. They're pressing from the front, but they're getting beat with a long ball, mate. A long ball over the top, and if anyone's got a decent striker with a bit of pace or something like that, they were getting burnt every single time. Like they were committing fouls to stop their counter attacks. Like literally, like you know, because I don't know. Pep needs to have a look at that because that won't work in the Premier League because every team's got that pace up front. You know, so yeah, they anyone that thinks Man City's doing something this season, I'm not
I
sure
think
about
Pep's
that.
lost it a little bit ever since he started scratching his own scalp out. I was a bit worried about him. Do you know what I mean? Don't think there was any need for
Yeah.
that, but he's got to do something, mate. He needs to change. Haaland's not look the same as he. Grealish.
Well, I feel sorry for Haaland because I'm sitting here. I've had money on some of these games as well, and I've had Haaland to score goals and take shots and stuff. And that Al Hilal, yeah, they cost me a load of money knocking City out of that cup. You know, I was sitting there about 800 quid coming to me that night. But yeah, who knows? But Haaland, he is being restricted big time. It's like he has been told you're number nine. You stay down the middle. You stay up top, and you don't come back. And he makes runs. He don't get the ball. Like he literally, like passing triangles, 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 triangles. He's making runs continuously, and the through ball ain't coming. And I feel really sorry for him. And obviously, when I've had money, and I'm like, pass the effing ball to him. So it's been painful, man. It's
So
been a bit painful.
you had a big fat lump on what City to win.
I had it weren't really it weren't a big lump or anything. It was only like I think it was like 40 or 50 quid or something like that. But yeah, they just needed to see the game out. They literally just needed to win that game, and I would have been blessed really. But
How would you have got £800 off a £50 bet on City to beat Al Hilal, Al Rider, whatever they are called?
well, this is I don't want to encourage gambling over here. I had corners. I had over. It was like over two. Both teams to have over two corners. Both teams to score. Um, what else did I have? I had a yellow card as well. I had to get I think it was to get two yellow cards in the game.
Each team or just both?
Just within the game, yeah. So both teams, like, so basically, I thought to myself, yeah, a yellow card one player, yellow card another player, and that's basically what I'd done. And I just needed Man City to hold that lead, and then they started the blimming game and the second half, and they're 2 goals down within a couple of minutes, like you know.
So did you do it in play?
No, no, no. I've done it before, but it was just yeah. I do like to have a little flutter on the football, you know. But yes, it does infuriate you when you sit back
Well,
and you watch all this tippy
what do
tappy
you
football.
think? If you'd have done the same bet and you would have changed that one result to Al Hilal winning,
Oh,
how much would you have won?
don't even say that, mate.
20 grand.
Honestly, like that would have been something. So it was £800. So the other way would have probably been at least 10 times that. So maybe about 8 grand, maybe about 8 grand or something like that. which is quite sad actually when I think about that. It might have been worth putting an extra 50 quid down just to cover it like that on that. But you just weren't expecting it because for all City's bad defence. Like you weren't really expecting them to sort of I thought they would at least scored goals and it just didn't work for them, mate. It just didn't work.
I think the conditions didn't help an English team, and I think that could have been placed into the actual gamble as well. The fact that you've got English teams playing out there where it's humid.
Yeah,
Because where was it? Where's the club? It's America, isn't it?
America.
And
Yeah,
it's bloody hot at the moment, isn't it? America,
yeah.
right?
They're having their drinks breaks
Yeah,
halfway through the halves and stuff. Yeah,
yeah.
so.
And a lot of people are speaking very highly of this Club World Cup as well. A lot of people seem to have enjoyed it.
Well, it's been a nice. There's nothing worse for me when there's a break in the season and there's no football to watch. Like that's really hard times for me. Not necessarily. It wouldn't have been that bad this time because of what's going on with Man United at the minute. It's just very tough to sort of like. I'm just thinking from my perspective. Nice to watch other teams sweating it out, but we just need to, have a break. The players need a break and get on the training pitch.
Your players are they're disgusting, mate. I mean, they are disgusting. I don't know what's worse, your players or your fans,
Uh,
right? And I say that, Brod, because you're chickens, you fans,
in what way?
right? Half the reason why United's standards have gone where they are now is because you lot of chickens. Because you sit there and say stuff like, "Yeah, but Fellaini was really good. But Fellaini was really you ain't crucifying no one." The only Man United fan I've heard crucify people really is Roy Keane and Rio Ferdinand.
Yeah.
You know, and what they're coming out with is two best signings for Man United since Ferguson: Zlatan, Ronaldo. Give or take one or two other people. That's it. But you Man United fans, oh, I like him. Oh, I like him. Oh, he's good. Oh, he played one good game. Oh, he can run up the wing when he wants to. You never used to be like that. Your standards used to be through the roof when I was at school,
Yeah, it,
right?
it's different though now that we were the only club that could go and spend 30, 40 million on a player back then. Like it's different now. Now every club can go
But
out and spend money.
what I'm saying, sorry, Brad, but when you signed Juan Sebastian Veron and he did not turn up, United fans crucified him. Whereas now, oh, yeah, but I like his surname. I like him how he looks in an Argentina kit.
Yeah,
Oh, I like it the way he passes the ball and opens up his body. And you think, what's happened to United fans? You used to crucify low quality on your team. Now, all you ever seem to do is you try and stick up for people like how many times have I spoken to you and you've tried to stick up for that absolute joke of a footballer, Hoyland? How many times you, no, 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 Nick, he's all right. Give him another season. He needs a third seat. How many goals has he got this season, mate? Sorry, Brad, mate. You've just reminded me of that. But I think a lot of it with Man United, mate. I mean, your fans ought to have a word with yourselves because you used to be tough on that team, and now you're so lenient on that team.
I think it's there's the I don't think anyone there's like we're not, like it's insanity, mate. It's insanity. Like what can you do? Like what can we do? Like there's not much we can do. You got people protesting. You got this. You got people going to people's houses. Like there's not much we can do. We have to sit back and just suck it up and just hope for better times. Like
I
unfortunately.
think your owners have got to go because all they've used the brand as an engine to shovel money into their pockets, and it's very clever. From a business perspective, I think they're tremendous, but from a football perspective, they have ruined your club.
I won't speak about the owners because for me, as long as you provide the money for the players, like if you spend like if I don't care if I'm the worst owner of a club, whatever. If I'm the worst owner, if I've given you £500 million to buy players, and I've given you God knows how much more money to spend on managers, probably an extra 100 million on managers since Ferguson's right, left. Um, um, I'm expecting results. So, rightly they fired managers and they got big. It's not like they got Mickey Mouse managers in. They got good managers in, and for whatever reason, it just never worked. It's just never worked properly.
I don't think they've given you the money. I think they have told you what players to go after. That's what I seem to be getting from the people who are doing the interviews, like Gary Neville's and all this. Because, Brud, I could not understand. I knew that David Moyes would not have signed Fellaini because he's got a brain, even though he was top dog at Everton. For me, Moyes would have known the difference between the quality at Everton and the quality of Man United. That's my opinion. And I did say that to you long, long time ago, right? And apparently, like I said, Moyes wanted what I would define as a 31-year-old prime Cesc Fabregas, right? Just about to go into a good few years at Barcelona. His last years, still a Spanish national. And he would have sat right in that United team at that time, perfect. And perfect in terms of culture as well, because he's come from a good stock. You understand what I mean, Brud? He's
Yeah,
come from good quality and all that. But instead, you get Fellaini.
yeah.
Then from there, it's gone wrong for me, like badly wrong from there.
You know, we spent a lot of money. That's all I've got
On
to say.
what though? On what though, bro? Like, think about what you've got. Like, what have you done with that money?
No, it's bad investments for sure.
Yeah.
People haven't paid off, but there's unfortunately football's one of these things like where nothing is guaranteed. Like, do you believe when Brentford signed that Embuemo guy for £6 million, they believed that he'd get 26 goals? No, they
Well,
never. They wouldn't
yeah,
believe. Wouldn't
yeah.
believe that.
I think
That's
they
the
would.
thing. No,
I
no,
think they would
no.
because
They
otherwise they wouldn't have put him in their team because they are also quality footballers and managers who know
yeah,
what they're doing, right?
yeah.
That they've expected it, yeah.
Well. Then I'll pip you that because they had Cunha and he couldn't get a game and they got rid of him.
But
So
Cunha was at
well, Wolves. Sorry,
Brentford.
Wolves.
I
Sorry,
was going to
Wolves.
say
Sorry. Yeah.
he wasn't at Brentford. He was
No,
at
no, no. It's
Wolves,
Wolves. Yeah, but the
and he
point is
done very well at Wolves as well.
the point. Yeah, but the point is it's it could continue. Sorry, continue. Is it what's his name? The midfielder that plays for PSG now. The good one. Vitinha. It's
Yeah,
Vitinha, isn't it? It's
yeah.
Vitinha. Yeah, he couldn't get a game for Wolves. So it's sometimes the Premier League. There's a whole bunch of circumstances that come into it, and there's just no guarantees. When Vitinha was sold by Wolves and couldn't get a game for them. When he was sold by them, anyone would have thought his career was going down. No, he hasn't made it in the Premier League, but now look, he's made it for PSG. So it swings and roundabouts. Like there's no magic. You kind of have to be lucky. You just kind of sometimes there's a bit of luck involved. There's
I
no
think
way
if
you're
you
telling
ask
me that.
any
Yeah.
footballer where do you want to go and wreck your body, would you like to go in this league here where you're going to wreck all your ligaments because you have to push yourself, or do you want to go in the Farmers League over here for the very best team where you have to push yourselves 6 times a season plus the Champions League? Which one do you want? Do you want to go and run your freaking cruciate ligaments down against West Ham, Brentford, Wolves, and all this over here? Or would you want to go over here and play teams that no one knows? That the people at the back can't even run 100 metres in 11.5 seconds. That no one's ever heard of their midfield. No one's ever heard of their defender. Do you understand what I mean? So I know what you're saying. Vitinha is looking good, but he's in a lot easier league as well. And maybe, like you're saying, it does suit his style a lot better to be in that particular league.
That's
You
it. So
know what I mean?
that's it. So like Hoyland, he may not like Premier League might be a step too far for him. He
Well, I
might
don't
be.
think so. He's
It
already
just
proven that he's not.
yeah. No, wait, it's too far. It's obviously it's not his level. So he needs to go somewhere else, and he needs to he either needs to stay, fight, and work on his game because he has shown glimpses of like finishing that he
Are
can
you talking
do.
about Hoyland here, yeah?
Hoyland,
Or
yeah, he has shown glimpses.
your guy, not
Yeah,
Haaland. Hoyland,
yeah,
yeah.
Hoyland,
Yeah.
yeah. He
Okay.
has shown a glimpse in the way. Obviously, it doesn't matter. It's when you see someone technically do something. it doesn't necessarily matter who they do it against. It's like if you can technically, like some of his finishing that he done in the Europa League, like that shows that there's something there. Like and there's we wouldn't have spent the money on him if there wasn't any sort of pedigree behind him as well. But maybe the Premier League was just too hard for him. Like there's loads of players that the Premier League, like Di Maria, like didn't work out for him in the Premier League. Like the people come over here. It's a really hard league. It's physical. You have to be on point every week. Like the weather's bad. Like so it's difficult. It's
Yeah,
really difficult.
you look at Hoyland and you compare him to someone like Berbatov, right? And Berbatov, when he come from Tottenham to United, he was fantastic. But again, listening to Rio Ferdinand the other day talking about Berbatov and what he was like to train with, and what he was like to play with. Rio said he's got the ball at the back and he's asking him to make a 25-yard run over there, and Berbatov's not going to do it.
Mm.
And then the manager's gone, all right, see ya. Because the culture where you used to be was Oyland makes that run. Oyland puts that in the back of the net. Because Berbatov got away with it, Brud, because he was scoring goals for United. He was used to a very good goal scorer for United. He was sticking him in the back of the net, and he won stuff for him. Hoyland, I don't know why you keep trying to defend this guy. I
No,
don't
I'm
know
just,
why.
I'm just speaking in general terms, really. Like it's not Hoyland's not the only striker that's not worked out. That's not worked out for in the Premier League. Like there's been all different types of strikers. Like Falcao. We had Falcao for a little while. He scored one or two goals and
Yeah,
stuff.
Falcao, that was after his knee injury, so I think we can excuse that, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, loads of strikers. Who else can we think of that never worked out for in the Premier League? Like, let's just be honest,
Yeah,
most strikers don't
but
work
then
out
I
for.
think the mistake you're making here is instead of saying Manchester United, you're saying Premier League because you're trying to make it like a thing where, oh, it's all right, all the other teams have thing. No, let's talk about Man United centre forwards, bro, right? Because United typically have had a centre forward, Rooney, Cantona. You go back all the way back to the 80s if you want, Mark Hughes. Yeah, they've always had a decent striker who score goals.
Mm.
Always can. There's so many you can name throughout the years, even up as to when Ferguson left. Hoyland.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not worked. It's definitely not worked. But it's like it's like, do you continue just to keep poking the guy, or do you either have to support the guy or you get rid of the guy? And it's not my decision. But either way, is that's the outcome is going to be the same. He's going to be
Yeah,
supported, and
yeah.
He's going to be tried to help,
I
or
think
he's
get rid
he's
of
going
him. I
or
think get rid of him immediately. A bit like I was chatting to my mate about the Champions League final when
mm,
Karius made those mistakes, and my mate was a bit like you. He was a bit forgiving, right? But I like winning a lot, and I would never talk to that guy again if I was in that team. I would never talk to him again, right? Because it's a disgrace what he done, and look where he is now. Because a top flight team like that, if you let your teammates down like that in an opportunity like that, you've got to get rid. And that's got to be the same at Premier League level as well. There's got to be people in that team that hate that guy, Hoyland. Yeah, I think people often think that these football teams have this wonderful team spirit. Everyone gets on. It's not like that at all. People hate each other in that environment badly. For example, Roy Keane and Schmeichel in your team famously didn't get on at all. You'd never tell on the pitch because you've got to be professional.
mm,
But people are sitting there thinking all these footballers are holding hands. It's not like that at all, in my opinion.
yeah.
I would not be passing to Hoyland if I was a right winger for Man United. No way. No way, because I'd want to win games.
Yeah, and to some extent, that was happening. To be honest with you, sometimes like Ganacho would shoot a lot of the times.
Yeah, you said that. Ahmad, yeah,
Dallo would shoot a lot of the
yeah,
times. Like
yeah,
and it would happen, and you could just tell the chemistry wasn't right.
right,
But we're seeing now with Ganacho coming out wearing the Villa shirt.
yeah.
He's a bad apple, unfortunately, and he's just a bad apple, and people like that will destroy the dressing room.
I
And
think you've destroyed him though before he's destroyed the dressing room. I think the fault lies at United for not playing him and not respecting him at all. And
uh,
why not playing him against Tottenham? I think he's got every right to be fuming about that decision,
Yeah,
bro.
he has, but he's also there's been like there's been games where he hasn't played good as well. So it's like there's been games where he hasn't played good, and over the season, like it's probably been everyone's probably the only person that's been 100% has been Bruno really, and even still, he was a bit shaky a little bit. But everyone else, I would say 50-50. Like, when it comes to putting in 100% every single week. Like, so the Garnacho can't sit there and say, "Oh yeah, I was playing great all season." No, he can't say that at all. Like,
Yeah, but what you can say is, if you look at me play when I've got decent players around me, like when I play for Argentina, look how well I play for Argentina. But when you're giving me these idiots that can't score, that can't assist, that can't beat a man, that can't do anything, you know, what do you want me to do? Oh, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll put on an Aston Villa shirt and wind these idiots up because they are not delivering on the promises that they promised me when I signed for this football club, which was probably, we're going to sign him, we're going to sign him, we're going to sign him, we're going to sign him. He probably sat there thinking, well, where's all these world beaters? He can't do it on himself, Brad. I mean, Fernandez and Garnacho, I don't think are capable of doing it on themselves.
no, well, for a long time, Bruno was able to get us across the line to, get us win those trophies for us, when maybe we shouldn't have won stuff, like, so it's just been really difficult. It's been really tough. It's been really difficult. A lot of humble pie, a lot of confusion for Man United fans. We've had to just sit back and kind of take it, but you can only hope that that things go right. And the thing about Man United, we're a club with untold resources. I know we've got the fair play and stuff going on, but like we'll probably do a Man City in terms of some sneaky deals here or there. Like these guys are very good at stuff like that. We'll leave it to them. We'll continue to support the club.
But then you look back at what Ronaldo said on Piers Morgan,
Hmm.
vindicated for me. Absolutely vindicated.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, there's obviously some bad apple. There's obviously been bad apples there, like
Nothing
but
has changed at the club. Nothing has changed. We have got the same this. We have
yeah.
got the same that. They have no money. They cannot afford for this. They cannot. And you think, Man United. Well, look at over there at City. Look at their brand new training facility they got for the juniors over there.
Mm,
Look at the brand new sponsorship deal over there. Look at the brand new coming over to Saudi Arabia and play 2 games over here and everyone get £1 million over here. We love you, but you guys win. You
mm.
guys win. I think the problem with the Chinese supporters and supporters from the Middle East, Brad, the minute you start losing consistently, they stand there scratching back of their head like Laurel and Hardy, right? They're like, well, what happened, mate? I bought this shirt so I could show off to all my friends when they come here. I think I'd better take this red shirt, I put it in the bin, and I think I'd better swap it for a light blue one, sky blue shirt. It's bad, mate. It's
Mm.
really bad. I hope you don't. I'd like to see United put it round. There was a lot of just before we, do whatever you want to do, bud. But there was a lot of talk of signings coming in. Has that talk been delivered upon properly? Do you think?
Um, you know, the left back, we got a good left back, good young left back, a really good young player. I was really impressed with this guy. They mentioned it last season that we had pre-signed him or something, and it looks like it's been confirmed. This Brazilian left back, he reminds me of he
Roberto
reminds me of
Carlos.
not necessarily Roberto Carlos, more of like a he's kind of built like Tevez. He's only like I think he's like 17 or 18. He's built like Sergio Aguero, Tevez. He's kind of that sort of stature.
Yeah,
And the kid,
endomorph. Is he an endomorph? Is he?
yeah, he looks like he's going to be something, to be honest with you. So I'm quite excited with that one. We've got Cunha
Yeah,
through the
brilliant.
door. We've got Cunha through the door. There's apparently there's a possibility of swapping Watkins for Rashford as well. Because Watkins is rightly peed off because they brought in Rashford. That Aston Villa
Yeah,
brought in
yeah.
Rashford, and
He
then they
must be
took him.
fuming. Yeah.
Imagine they took him out of the PSG game for the Champions League. Like he's their main man. He's got them to
Who
where
they
they
took
are.
out? Who?
They took out Watkins and started Rashford, mate.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Didn't
they
know that.
took out, and
Yeah,
for me, that would be a big kick in the teeth. Like
yeah.
Ollie's been their top
Been
boy for them.
sensational. Yeah.
So and it just don't make no sense. Like Rashford did do well and stuff when he was playing for Villa and stuff. But for me, Watkins has got you where he's at, where you're at, and
Yeah.
you don't upset your striker.
Did he? Am I right in saying that Rashford slept with Emery's missus, or was that all bullshit? I still don't know whether that's true
I
or
don't
not.
know. I stay away from all of that sort of stuff. I don't really. I haven't really got energy for any of that sort of stuff, to be honest with you. But it wouldn't surprise me this day and age, but I feel like we're talking about Rashford. I feel like he's just had too much time. I feel like he's already lived his career. He's already had a career like 10 years. He's already a veteran, and with this social media day and age, and obviously he's got a massive profile from all the other bits that he's done, the good things that he's done, the free meals that he got, 1 million meals for people around Liverpool, most like the beneficiaries of that as well, So he's done some great stuff, but it's yeah,
How did
it's
you feel, Brod? May I ask you? How did you feel as a Man United fan when you picked up the papers or you picked up the internet and you saw Garnacho in that Aston Villa shirt?
time to go. That's it. Just time to go. Okay, time to go. He's a homegrown talent. He's a homegrown talent. We'll get 50 to 60 million for him. Time to go. He's not done. He's not no superstar for me. He ain't no superstar. He ain't no superstar winger. There's better. There's already a better. Cunha's better than him. And Buemo's better than him. There's already players out there better than him. So and if we can get those players in, we've replaced them with players that are proven goal scorers in the Premier League. So if he wants to go, he can go. If Marcus Rashford wants to go, he can go. There's better Rashford. He's hot and cold. There was one stage where the guy peed gold, when he had that great season, and I was his biggest fan, But it just looks like he's just wants to play games now. He wants to be a little kid, wants to be a petulant little kid, and let him go play games. But we're finding it. What's really difficult now is we've got Rashford, we've got Garnacho, we've got Anthony, we've got them all training, They're all training with us right now, So God knows what that training ground's
Yeah,
like at
I
the
mean,
minute.
so Anthony's come back, has he?
Yeah, yeah. He is willing to accept a pay cut to go back to Betis as well, because obviously I wouldn't imagine why he'd want to stay. But and Betis have made a couple. They've made about 50 million in selling players as well, so that looks like a match made in heaven. But Garnacho just looks like he's tried, what I said to you back then. He just looks like he tried to destroy his sell value to try keep his wages, because that's the main thing. These players, they don't want to lose. They're not willing to take pay cuts, even Sancho. Chelsea got Chelsea, Chelsea just give him the boot and send him back. Chelsea said we'll pay the 6 million fine. Take this
Yeah.
scumbag back. We're not. Sancho don't want to cut his wages. So these players, they're literally like mercenaries now. To be honest with you, and no one's really gonna want them. No one's gonna want them, and no one damn sure ain't gonna want to pay top dollar for them, pay them £300,000 a week or whatever it is,
Yeah.
because they ain't worth it. Bottom line,
Mm.
they ain't worth it. They're definitely in the Premier League, they're not worth it. They're just like little babies, to be honest with you.
I mean, what contribution has Sancho really had for
Nothing,
300 grand a week?
nothing at
What
all.
has he done in the last? I don't want to
Nothing.
sort of be
He played.
disrespectful
He
to him.
played well for Dortmund. He did play well
Oh,
for
yeah, it was
Dortmund.
brilliant at Dortmund, but we're talking
Yeah.
about English football here. Like, what's he done since he's come back here?
Nothing. Hot and cold. He's been a hot and cold player, mate. A hot and cold player. He's got a couple of important goals, couple of late important goals that he's got for us, but nothing to warrant the value of £80 million.
Mhm.
These are big mistakes. If imagine if this is your money, you're talking 80 million for him, 80 million for Anthony. Good God, just that's 160 million. Imagine you make a job at you make a mistake at your work, you maybe cost the company a couple of grand. These managers have cost the company 180 million.
But
And
you
none
know
of
where
it's worked. None of
where
it's
we differ
worked.
though, Brod, is that I am pretty certain that it's not the managers choosing those players. Okay, I'm pretty certain now, and I'm also pretty certain that the choices that are being chosen by the manager are
Mm.
second and third choices, not first choices. Again, I go back to the Fellaini story because you actually wanted a decent player. Fabregas would have slotted in so well to you, but instead, to get Fellaini instead of Fab, I mean, oh mate, I think from there, and it wasn't Moyes who wanted Fellaini, it was the board.
Yeah, it was a surprise for sure. It was a surprise, but the bottom line is, Man United, we need to get better scouts,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
we need to get better scouts, and we need to go out rather than spending unless there's proven Premier League talent out there, go out and get look for attributes, which is what you should be doing. Like you should be looking for attributes in players, players that can physically hold up, some players with pace, players with skills. Daisy Chains, how are you, my dear? Are you okay? We need attributes, and to go sign them when they're young. Sign them for £10 million when they haven't got a name. Bring them in, like even if like Chelsea, like when they got in what's his face, Mo Salah. They got in De Bruyne, um, like
Yeah, but then I think Chelsea were at a point there where it was all the Lampard and Terry and all that, and it was a very attractive
yeah.
setup to play for. Again, when we talk about this, Brad, I sometimes think that you're missing the fact that some of these players are going to look at your club and go, "No, I ain't playing for those jokers."
Not the case, buddy. Not the
I
case.
think
Not
you'll find it is.
not the case. We wouldn't have Cunha, would we? Then would we?
Well, yeah, I think you're
It-
speaking about Cunha as if he's Kylian Mbappe lotting. Well, he's not. I'm sorry to disappoint you, right?
Cunha can be Cunha
Cunha.
can be Cunha can be anything he wants right
Yeah,
now.
but he ain't no Kylian Mbappe, mate. So there's no need to talk about him as if he's a Kylian Mbappe
It,
because he's not.
Mbappe isn't even Mbappe's best days are behind him as
All
well.
right, he's not a Lamine Yamal, so there's no reason to talk about Cunha like he's a Lamine Yamal, if that's a better example for you. There's no
He's
need at all.
Lamine Yamal would probably struggle in the Premier League. To be honest with you, he'd probably struggle in the Premier
I
League.
think
It's
he'll win the
different.
Ballon d'Or within the next 2 years,
Yeah,
Lamine Yamal,
yeah,
and I think
yeah.
he's still 17 years old. So I think we're talking about very special talent there.
You just never the problem nowadays is, and I've seen it 1,000 times with players, young players, really promising players, is that they get too much too fast. They get the money too fast. So it takes a very strong player to stay disciplined, to stay consistent, to
I think
keep
you'll find
keep.
that is Lamine Yamal though,
No,
because
no. At the minute, yeah. But give him, like, Rashford, when Rashford came on the scene, like 18, full of enthusiasm, willing to learn, like humble, like But then look at him now. Look at him 10 years
yeah,
later.
but I think the difference between Yamal and Rashford is maturity. He's mature beyond his years. Lamal, you don't ever
Yeah,
see.
Rashford was mature at his age as
I,
well.
I don't think so. I think
No,
he proved. I
Rashford
think
when
he
he
proved how immature he was when we started seeing the real Rashford and what he was
yeah,
really
that's
like.
what I'm saying.
Right?
10 years
And
later,
then I also
10.
want to state with Lamine Yamal as well is that it's incomparable to what Rashford done. As in,
No,
Lamine Yamal is miles
BS,
better, miles
BS,
better.
BS, BS,
He wasn't
BS,
doing it for England at that
B,
age,
B,
right? I
BS,
think the only other
BS.
player that was doing it for his country at that age was Pele in 1958. I remember someone saying, I think it was Pele 1958, the greatest footballer of all time. So I think that's you look into that whatever you like, can't you? But
I
I,
think
I, I think Lamine Yamal is
the prob the
very
prob
very
the prob the
promising.
problem that we
Solid.
have the problem that we have in this country is that we want to glamorize all these players, like if sometimes, we have so many good young English players, and if their names were Ravioli or or Spaghetti Hoops, they're we put this massive sort of,
Yeah,
like, we
we
put
had
this
one,
massive
and his
shine on
name
them.
was Wayne Rooney, and we all went mad about him. And then he had a great career. But since Wayne Rooney, I don't think we've really had many, have we?
We've had good players, I would say. We've had some solid
Yeah,
players.
good. But I'm talking about world class Lamine Yamals. I think people would put Rooney and Lamar in the
But
same
still
bucket.
to be,
But
still to, there's a long way to go. There's a long way to go for Lamine Yamal. Like, yes, he's great. He's a great talent and stuff, but there's a long way to go. Like, a long ass way to go for him. Like, he could get injured. How does he come back from that injury? There's so many variables that could happen, that could change in that situation. Like, I say we'll have this conversation in 5 years' time, and we'll see where he is then. This is the thing. Like I said to you, Rashford, 18, lit the world alight. And don't get me wrong. And let's just have it straight as well.
I
If
think
Rashford, if
Rashford
Rashford at
was
8,
slightly older when he came on the scene. He
no,
was
Rashford was 18 when he made his debut for against Man City, and he came on. He scored 2 goals, 3 games in a row.
okay.
Rashford was nothing was stopping Rashford. The thing about it is, like, what you're seeing as well is there are players that can look magical in all sorts of leagues. Like, if Lamine Yamal played in the Premier League, like, yes, he would still cook, I'm sure, but he wouldn't. Trust me, it would be a little bit different. It'd be a little bit different. The Spanish league it's not a Mickey Mouse league, but it's totally different to the Premier League. Like, it's just totally different. They just don't have the same sort of players. Like,
Just
you can't compare it. Look,
just so the viewers.
just to prove my damn point. Just to prove my damn point, Anthony, Real Betis looks like a superstar out there. And then he came that what he played against Tottenham. He looked like a wanker again. Like, see what I mean?
Just, just so everyone's aware, Lamine Yamal was Barcelona's youngest ever starter and scorer in La Liga, and he done that when he scored his first goal at 16 years old. That for me is the sign of someone very special because Messi was doing stuff like that. And also, I want to point out to the viewers what he's already achieved for his country at 16 years old, because it's very, very rare to play for your country at 16. I think it was Pele, right?
Yeah.
Spain's youngest player ever and goal scorer ever in history, debuting at 16 years and
Yeah.
57 days, right? At UEFA Euro 2024, he became the youngest ever player in the tournament's history and played a key role in helping Spain reach the semi-finals, showcasing elite vision, dribbling, and composure far beyond his years. And I think that's the general consensus of how people were speaking about him at the time.
Yeah.
Very, very special player.
Yeah.
You know, you're
You didn't have the luxury of seeing him in that tournament thing that happened. What was that? It was some sort of, well, it was like, I think it was like they lost to Portugal
well, a
anyway.
really important tournament,
They
yeah, that everyone cared about. Yeah,
no, but the point, they trust me, they wanted to win it. Do you see Ronaldo's face when Portugal won? Like, you see, like, when they knocked
yeah,
Portugal
but they
knocked
got to
Spain
the
out of it.
finals though, didn't they?
Yeah, Portugal knocked them out. But the point is,
No,
Lamine
no, it was,
Yamal.
wasn't it Portugal Spain final?
Yeah. Portugal beat them. Yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
mean
in
when I
the
say
final,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
they
they
beat
got to
him.
the final of the competition, yeah. So
Yeah,
Lamine Yamal got to the final of that competition, yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah, okay.
he didn't get a kick.
Yeah,
He
but
got done.
he got to the
No, but the point is, he didn't get a kick. He was part. Do you know what? He was playing up against Nuno Valentes. I
yeah.
think is it Nuno Valentes, the left
But at
back?
17, he got to the final though, yeah.
Yeah, that's good. He
Yeah.
got there, but the thing is, he
So
didn't
he
get
would
a
have
kick.
had to get through the semis and he would have had
He,
to get through the quarters, yeah.
the point I'm making is that he weren't able. Like, it was so bad that
Yeah.
he was when he got the ball, when he would normally go at the fullbacks. He was so bad that when he got the ball, he was passing the ball back. He didn't want it anymore.
Yeah, I
He was
saw it. I saw it.
he was
Yeah.
at fault. He got burnt by
Yeah.
Nuno Valentes as well.
How was your speed at 17, 16, 17? Was it
My speed was brilliant at
yeah.
that age.
Would you have coped running against people who run the 100 meters in 11.2? I don't think so.
But I'm not. We're not comparing me because I'm not a
No, I'm
footballer.
just putting it in
I'm
context.
not,
I just want the viewers to understand that we're talking about a 16-year-old and we're not talking about a 22-year-old. I just want the viewers
listen.
to make sure they
Age is irrelevant.
because yeah, viewers,
Age,
Pele won the World Cup in 1958 at 16 years old. Viewers, and it's very, very rare. Very rare.
age is when you're on that football pitch. Age is irrelevant. You're either good
Yeah,
enough
but
or
then
you're not.
we're talking about talent here. We're talking about outstanding talent. If you get a 16-year-old who is the youngest ever player in a tournament, right,
Mm.
then in my opinion, you're looking at an extreme talent, and he shouldn't be compared to. It's disrespectful to compare him to Cunha or any of these little Mickey Mouse players that your club's trying to sign. Very disrespectful. If you sign Lamine Yamal tomorrow, he would sell more shirts than every single signing you have made in the last 2 months
No, but
put together.
there's no argument about Lamine Yamal being a good player. But
I'm,
there's
I'm,
also
I'm saying he's better than good, okay? And I want people to hear me say this because I want you to come back at me in 3 or 4 years' time, and I want you to say to me, Nick, I remember you were very strong about that point and how
yeah.
strongly you felt about how good Lamine Yamal was.
hmm
He's a very, very talented player,
But
mate.
but
He's not
that
just good. He's
yeah.
not just good.
That's no. He's not just good.
He's brilliant.
He's a brilliant player. But brilliant players, like, sometimes it can be thrown out too easy. Brilliant, excellent, world class, like, like Messi, world class. Ronaldo, world class. When they're wingers, when they're playing wing and when they're playing up against people, Messi's a world class talent. Like, when you saw Messi play up against every defender. And Messi never looked. Messi had his bad days or whatever, but most of the time Messi would cook all the way through. There's a slight difference. Like, I've never seen, like, you look at Messi and you think, this guy looks small. He don't look that strong. How the hell is he burning all these players?
Lamine Yamal is a better player for Spain at 16 than Lionel Messi was for Argentina at 16. No argument. No argument.
Um, I mean, at 16, I would just say, Messi Messi is Messi, like, and there's no comparison. Lamine Yamal's nowhere near Messi yet, like, he's got a long way to go, a long, long way to go.
Yeah, I'm just saying that I believe at this point, yeah, I'll repeat what I said again so the viewers are clear on it.
Mm,
Lamine Yamal at this age is miles better than what Messi done for his country at the same age. Messi was a late bloomer, as we all know, because we all wanted him to win that World Cup so badly because we were so fed up with his poor international performances, give or take one or two Copa Americas. Whereas you're looking at, hold on, Lionel Messi made his senior debut for Argentina on the 17th of August 2005 during a friendly against Hungary in Budapest. He was 18 years and 54 days old at the time.
mm.
So already, Lamine Yamal's surpassing him there, isn't he?
Yeah, he's Lamine Yamal. Trust me, he's a good player. He's got a lot of
I think
big
you keep
future.
getting that wrong. I think he's a brilliant player, and I want the viewers to be clear on how I feel about that. Viewers, I'm not calling him good. I'm calling him brilliant.
Mm,
Does everyone understand? Nicky
yeah.
NU uses the
Yeah,
B word for him. Brilliant,
good, brilliant,
exceptional.
good, brilliant. He's an I'll
Cunha,
say,
Cunha's good. Cunha's good.
yeah,
Lamar's brilliant.
yeah. In the league that he's playing, he's doing really well. Up against Nuno Valente, what's his name? I can't remember his name. The left
Yeah,
back
so the
for
game you're picking out is an international final of a tournament
yeah.
where he didn't turn up. Okay, so you got what he's trying to say there, people, is you've got a 16, 17-year-old
No,
who
you
got into
can't.
the
You can't.
final.
You can't do that. You can't do that. You
I
can't play.
can, I
You can't
can.
say, "Oh, the poor 17-year-old kid."
No,
You
I'm not
can't do
saying the
that.
poor.
You,
I'm
you
not
can't.
saying
You
the
can't do
poor.
that. You
I'm not
can't do that.
saying the
You
poor.
can't
I'm
do
not
that.
saying the
If
poor.
you're if
Did
you're
I say the poor? Did I say the
if
poor?
you're on the pitch,
Did I say the poor?
if you're on the pitch,
No.
no,
Stop putting words in my mouth, mate, right? Let's just talk about his age and understand
no,
what an
there's no.
achievement it is for a 16-year-old to get into the final of an international
Yeah,
competition.
that's
That's all I'm
fabulous.
saying. And
That's
we've just
fabulous.
heard
But
that Messi made his debut at 18. That's all
uh,
I'm saying.
do you
That's
think
all I'm
there'll be
saying.
any? Do you think
So,
there'll be
so what
any?
you're saying there, people, is that the 16-year-old had a bad game in the final of a men's tournament with Ronaldo in the other team. That's what we're saying here. That's all.
Yeah, we're saying it. Yeah, we're saying he had a.
That's what we're saying.
He
He
wasn't
had
a.
one bad game against Ronaldo.
No, it weren't against Ronaldo. It was against the defense, and
Yeah, I know. They showed plenty of clips where Ronaldo had tackled him and done, like
yeah, no, but
fake
that weren't the
old
highlight of
man did.
that
Old
weren't
man
the
did.
that weren't the highlight of the game. The highlight of the game was him not being able to
Yeah,
him
the
not being
highlight of
able
the
to attack.
final where a 16-year-old couldn't quite step
Stop
up to
saying
the plate.
stop saying 16-year-old because you're not
Oh,
16
sorry, is he
anyway.
17? Is he?
He's 17,
Yeah,
and
because we're also mature and perfect when we were 16, 17, weren't we? We were all able to play in the finals of men's international competitions at the
this
age of 16, 17, weren't we? Weren't
this
we,
is
bud?
this is in the day and age. This is in the day and age of football. This is the day and age of football where we're
Yeah,
actually
Pele done it, people. As I've said for the fourth time now,
yeah.
Pele done it in 1958.
Hmm.
Fourth time I've said that now, people. Yeah, I do know my football history. Pele done it in 1958. You can check that if you want. He was 16 at the time, 16, 17, I think.
Yeah,
Might have just turned 17.
yeah, yeah. He's got
You don't get many 16, 17 year olds listeners that make it to international finals. And if you can find me some, please let me know. I'd be very interested to know who they are.
no, if you're good enough, you can play. That's it. Like there's no question about Lamine Yamal's talent. There's no question about that at all. You just have to. I'm not blind. I've seen attacking players my whole life, and he's up there with the best. But
Yeah, but
how
you
you
tried to
judge?
compare him to
uh,
Cunha. Like
No,
how?
no, I didn't
Why?
compare him. I didn't compare him to Cunha. I just said that he would. I just said that I was just talking about what we have. There wasn't any comparison saying Cunha's going to be better than him. I never ever said that.
Never in a million years can Cunha ever be anywhere near Lamine Yamal.
That's not up to you. That's your
No, it is up to me.
no, no,
It's
no.
my
You
opinion. Yeah,
you
and it
is
will
yeah,
never
but
do.
yeah,
It
but
will never do that for. It will never do that internationally.
it
Already, what that kid has achieved at 17, Cunha will never do that.
is like when it comes to players playing and reaching their ceilings. That's not the. You can have your
Too
opinion.
late now. It's too
No, no,
late.
no, no. But you can have your opinion. But
He's
the
not
re- the
special
see
enough to do what Lamine Yamal's doing at 16, 17.
ha,
Otherwise, he would have done
uh,
it.
no, no, but regardless of the age, because what you're thinking is what you have to compare is if you're good enough at a certain age, and if you're good enough at 17 or 16 to go up and step against men and play,
You're like Pele.
you can't use your age. You can't use your age as no one can use age as an excuse for having it when it necessarily doesn't work out for you.
Yeah, but
It's
it's still working out for Lamine Yamal, so that's a non-argument. That's a bit like saying, let's hope it all goes wrong for Rooney when he was 17. We didn't, did it? It went really right for him.
no,
He had a great career for
yeah,
England.
but a different time, different
And then people
culture.
like you say, yeah, but we could have got injured when he was 17, or it might have gone wrong, or it might have gone right.
No,
It
no,
might have
but
gone right.
this is the thing. It's all
Oh,
depends
he might have got injured.
it all depends on the player, his hunger, his desire. Like no one. I don't know him. You don't know him. He could. We. No one knows. No one knows what's coming tomorrow. Like he could. See, he could fall out of love with the game. No one knows. Like what could
Yeah,
happen.
if I had £1 million now,
Mm.
and you allow me to place a bet on that, whether he was going to fall out of love with football as a 17-year-old who's just played in a final of a freaking competition or not, I'd put all of my money, my £1 million, on guess where, bruv?
Yeah,
No, he's not going to fall out of love with the game.
look at
Come on,
Mason.
mate. Give some decent examples, mate. Come
Look at
on.
Mason. Look at Mason Greenwood. Look at
Yeah, he
Mason
ruined his
Greenwood.
own career, really, isn't he?
So what did you just say? Repeat what you just said.
He's ruined
He ruined his own career.
his
Let's
own
yeah. So
career
he ruined his own career.
because
Yeah,
of rape allegations.
yeah, exactly. So and if you would have said to me before this came out, before that came out, if you would have said to me, Mason Greenwood, like I would have said to you, Mason Greenwood, this kid. I asked Alex Ferguson. He's the best young talent there is out there. That's what Alex Ferguson is saying right now. Like, he's the best young talent out there right now. Like, we had high hopes for this kid. We thought he was going to light up. He was going to be the superstar for Man United. Like, no one knows what's going to happen. That's just my point. Like, Lamine Yamal, fabulous. He's doing great. He's doing amazing. Like, no one
Yeah,
knows
I'm just
what's
quite
going
a
to happen.
positive person, so I'm just making the assumption that he's going to be fine
No,
and he's not going to fall out of love with the game, and he's going to have himself a wonderful 15-year career and win probably 6 or 7 Ballon d'Ors in that
but I would
time.
have said exactly the same thing
Right?
about
So
Mason
I'm quite
Greenwood.
positive, me, brother. Don't really go on. Oh, he might get, yeah, he might get injured. Anyone, Cunha might get injured,
Yeah, but
right?
it's just that
Anyone might get injured. But
yeah.
what you don't get is 16-year-olds starting for Spain very often. I just want to make it very clear
Yeah,
to the viewers
yeah, but
that I am making that point, right?
there's no argument with
It's
facts. Like
very, very special. Do you know what I mean? It's
he's
very special.
he looks very special. He is very special at the minute, but no one knows what comes tomorrow. As the start of our title, as the start of our titles is looking dead at us in the face right here. Diogo Jota dies in a car accident, age
Yeah.
20.
And
Predicted great things. No one knows what comes
yeah,
tomorrow. No
assuming
one
assuming
knows.
he does what Rooney does, right? I'm just making assumptions, people, that he's not going to die. I'm making assumptions that he's not going to get caught raping anyone. I'm just talking about his football and how special he is. Obviously, any of us can have things happen to us,
Exactly.
as
That's
he's
my point.
talking about,
That's my only
right?
point.
But the
That's
person who doesn't look across the road and doesn't see the bus coming is probably more likely to get hit by the bus than the person who stops at the road and looks either way to see if a bus is coming. I'm just going to hope that Lamine Yamal is the sort of person who'll look to see the bus coming. He'll have a long career for himself. And I'm telling you, mate, I think he's guaranteed Ballon d'Ors. And I think he's going to win like big tournaments with Spain and with Barcelona as well. That's what I think is going to happen to him. But you're right, Brad. I mean, he could die. He could get crash his car or whatever. Of course, yeah.
anything can happen. Anything can
Anything
happen.
could happen. But
Anything can happen.
just
Just
making
like
the assumption that he has a happy career, like you would want to
and every
assume for anyone, really.
everyone should do that. Like you just can't. There's no guarantees anymore. Like who's going to turn up. People are going to have the same desire. That's my only point. Like I won't argue. Like I'm not arguing. Like anyone listens to this is going to think that I've got bad things. Like you've taken up defending
No, I don't think
Lamine
so. I
Yamal.
don't think so.
Like,
I just think you misunderstand how good he is because you think
I,
people
I
like
don't.
Cunha,
tr-
you
tr-
think people like Cunha is deserves to be mentioned in the same breath, which I think a lot of people will find disrespectful because it's absurd, mate. It's absurd to compare someone like that to Cunha. It's just
I,
disrespectful to Lamine Yamal. Like, and a
I didn't
football
say
fans will
I didn't say
will
I
say
didn't.
that.
There was no comparison in saying Cunha was going to be better than Thing. I said that every player has their own ceiling. Like like football fans, it's great for us to sit here and say this player's going to do this player's going to do this. Like
He's
but
already
it's up.
doing it though. That's what I keep saying to you. He's already doing it for
To,
Spain. Like he's already doing it.
Yeah,
And for Barcelona, it's proven.
but on the biggest game, you weren't able to do it.
Yeah, on one game,
Yeah,
right?
but that's the final. That's the big
Yeah.
one. You weren't able to not only be able to, like, if you've got your superpowers and your powers are roasting
So
defenders.
what he's doing here, people, right? He's picking out one game
A recent game, a recent game,
of
a
a
recent game.
17-year-old, one recent game of a 17-year-old, and seemingly judging this person's abilities on that one game.
I'm saying we
If you're
might
like
need to.
me and you think that's completely ridiculous, then let us know in the comments.
All right. We'll leave it there, and we'll leave it out there to people as well for them to make their own decisions. My
They'll be on
closing
my side, mate.
my closing point on that is literally that, you can't. There's nothing's guaranteed. He's doing brilliant. Keep it going. I pray that he does well and he does amazing. He stays out of trouble as well. But this, in the modern day society, these young kids today, they have everything thrown at them too fast. They're millionaires. Where does their desire? We're seeing it already with players not being able to stay focused, not being able to stay dedicated to football. They're treating football nowadays as a job, and now, and they're off doing other bits on social media, So it's really difficult to say that, someone's gonna, you hope. But like I said, if you would have told me that Mason Greenwood wouldn't be at Man United today scoring 30, 40 goals a season for us, I would have said to you, you're crazy. And then look what happened. Out of the blue, something crazy. I don't know him. No
Well,
one knew him. And
something crazy. Should we remind ourselves what that something crazy was? Because you was the one who showed me the bloody the transcript of what you were saying, Brudge. Remember, you showed me.
yeah, I showed you.
So we all know what he done.
Yeah. But
We all know what the crazy thing that he done,
yeah, but
don't we?
no,
Because we
yeah, but
heard
that's
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
but what's your point when you say that? What's the point when you say
Well,
that?
you're sort of coming here. Oh, we don't know what he done. And yes, we do know what
No,
he done.
no. I mean, I'm saying I know what he done, and I know
We
what
all
he's
know
done.
what he
But I'm
done.
saying to you, it was unexpected. That's the point of me saying it. It's an unexpected thing because we didn't know that he had these things in his locker. That's my point of saying that. So if I don't know what you're, if you're, I don't know what you're like, I don't know what you're taking from what I'm saying when I'm saying that. I'm not saying what he's done was great or anything like that. I'm saying I saw a young, brilliant talent that was expected to do massive things, and it turned out that he had some demons in him, and I didn't know him at that time. You didn't know him at that time. If you would have seen him at that time and see him perform on the pitch, you'd have said the same. You'd be saying the same thing. He's going to be a world beater, just like Ferguson said. He's going to be a world beater. And with Lamine Yamal or with any young player, unfortunately, we don't know these players. We don't know them. We see them on the pitch for 90 minutes a week, sometimes, and that's it. We don't know what's coming tomorrow. We don't know if they've got desire. We don't know. We don't know if they want to.
I think
If
we
they
do. I think if you're playing for 17 years old at Spain and you're doing that, you've got desire. And again, if anyone wants to debate me on that, come and debate
No,
me.
no, no. But it's not.
That's ridiculous. You've got to have desire.
When I say desire, I mean desire to keep on going every week, to stay to to perform at 100% every single week, and in training 100% of the week. There's that famous saying, running in silk pajamas.
I don't think any player in history that I've ever known has ever done that, including Maradona.
Loads of players have pissed their careers away. Look at
No,
bloody.
I'm talking about you're saying about this 100% as if there's players out there that do 100% every single game because you're picking on this one stupid game of Lamine Yamal, the 17-year-old, and you're thinking that can detract away from his achievements, but it can't. And my point would be, having watched Maradona for Barcelona back in the 80s and how good he was, he also had bad games because, as everybody knows, footballers have bad games. Roy Keane has bad games. David Beckham had bad games. Peter Schmeichel had bad games. Ryan Giggs had bad games. I think the better players would have less bad games than everyone else, without a shadow of doubt. Like Bruno Fernandes, we were saying he's had bad games, Brod, but he's had fewer bad games than, say, Højlund, in my opinion. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would agree
But
with that.
Højlund has had loads of bad games.
Yeah, for sure.
Whereas, going back to Lamine Yamal, I've seen him play maybe on 10, 20 occasions, I don't know. The vast majority of those occasions for me, he is a very special, outstanding player on the pitch. And as you say, it could go all wrong. He might rape someone or whatever. He might abuse his missus or make a mistake at a young age. It's very possible. I agree with. That's one thing I do agree with you. Let's hope he doesn't. but it's very possible, isn't it, that he could
It,
do if you've seen it. Like I say, I think it's a good point you raise with Mason Mount. I mean, when you look into that, were the club supporting him in term before that? Did they talk to him about stuff, about relationships? Did they,
Mason
I
Green,
don't think there was.
Mason Greenwood, and you just don't know. Like you just don't know. Like for me, seeing that once that happens to you as a football fan, you see that we see one of your brightest youngest talent, something like that happens. Like nothing's off the cards anymore. Unfortunately, like we like and there's loads of other things. There's loads of other things that are more likely to even consider when you consider the religion and the religion and people are taking a certain stand. Like you could just you could raise the wrong flag up and say free this, and you're in big trouble.
Well, going with,
Sponsors drop you.
yeah.
Edward Brown, Nicky NU is in the house. He says
Hello,
hello.
Edward, mate. How are you? Good to see you, man.
Yeah. So it's yeah. You could say
But
one bad word now on social media and get you banned from football. To be honest with you, so
yeah, yeah.
literally, and
Yeah.
you know where his allegiance is in terms of religion and stuff. So
Well,
it's
I'd like to think, Brad, that since stuff like Mason Greenwood and
mm,
other situations similar to that, I'd hope that
we do
footballers
hope.
get counselling or some sort of
Yeah, R.I.P.
uh,
Jai Edwards. Yeah,
yeah,
sure.
just information like, look, this can happen to you.
Mm,
You know, I'd like to think so. I don't know whether they do it or not, but I remember watching something where they were saying that Mason had not much support or anything like no
yeah.
one talking because I think he raises a good point here. Everyone on when we first spoke about the Jota thing, we was hinting at the money's involved, the feeling of elation all the time, Brud. You can have anything you want whenever you want, and
Mm,
all you've got to do is turn up once a day for training, and then twice a week for matches or whatever, and then for the rest of the time do as you please. You know
mm.
what I mean? So, unfortunately, someone like Lamine Yamal, you're quite right. I think they could get into, should we say, a situation.
Yeah,
Yeah, a
I,
situation.
I pray it don't, but
Yeah,
you
of
just
course we do. I mean,
no
yeah,
one knows what's coming
no,
tomorrow.
no.
Unfortunately,
I agree with you. Even anyone, it could happen to anyone, brother. I mean, millions in
anyone,
light
no
trade,
one
yeah.
knows. 100%.
But just making the assumption that, I mean, I think who's a bit of a letdown for me is who in a similar situation was at Arda Güler,
Okay.
right? And the reason why I say that is because even though he is a phenomenal footballer, okay, he is an absolute phenomenal footballer, especially for Turkey. He hasn't quite delivered on that. You're going to be the next big thing after scoring that goal in the tournament and all that.
Mm,
Whereas what I'm saying is, to me at the moment, it looks like Lamine Yamal doesn't give a monkey's mate about
mm,
these men. It looks to me like he don't care. Whereas I look at Goulet and I think he's a little bit scared of the blokes out there, a little bit standoffish, not intimidated, but more he's not doing what he can do. Whereas Lamine Yamal's playing his game out there. And I think I could probably say the same about Jude Bellingham as well, albeit slightly older, 24 years old. You know,
mm-hmm.
he's really playing a confident game out there. He's Jude Bellingham. He's playing like a man out there. You know, he's making Goulet look like a little boy, but there's not much between their ages.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
and his thing was leaving Man City early and going to Dortmund at 16 and so
Yeah,
going
yeah,
to Dortmund at 16
yeah.
and really knocking it down there. But he's just they talking about maturity from him. He is a man, like he is literally like he's so composed, like future England captain for sure, like within 2 or 3 years for sure, I would say.
Yeah, I agree with that. Do you think he could make a mistake as well?
Could do. I would hope not. He looks like. To be honest with you, the fact that he said what he said to Mason Greenwood tells me that he because obviously he
What
did
did he say to him? Remind us.
he whispered like they were playing a match and he sort of whispered. He sort of said something on his breath and he said bloody rapist or whatever. That's what he said to him on the
Is that what he
pitch.
said?
He said that to him on the pitch. So him saying that tells me a lot about his character. Like to have the balls to do that one, and then obviously he's obviously done it because obviously he's disgusted by it. So obviously that tells me that he's been brought up properly in that way. But guys, TikTok, make sure you go over to our new channel, Chat Sports. That'll be up today. Hope you enjoyed the fiery little debate with me and Nicky New today, guys. Peace and love to you guys on TikTok. Let's end that really quickly.
There'll be loads more debates, by the way, and then we'll get someone like Edward Brown to come and debate us on boxing.
Uh, also, just a quick one on boxing, actually, on while we're on here at the minute. What did you think? Did you see Deontay Wilder had a fight? He come
Yeah,
back, and
yeah,
yeah, from what I saw of the fight, it looked shocking. To be honest
yeah,
with you, it
yeah.
looked really shocking. He looked really bad, and I don't want to see him. I don't want to see him in a big fight anymore. To be honest with you,
You wonder if they're trying to set up the Joshua fight, bruv.
it seems exactly that. To be
Are they
honest
trying
with
to
you.
fool us boxing fans or what?
We know the deal. Like, I think, I think the rumors, what I heard from certain interviews was that Wilder wanted two fights, and then just sort of like, and then the third one he'd go in against Joshua. And I think it's just literally a payday. I don't want to see Joshua fight. I don't want to see. I don't. Joshua can still do the goods, to be honest with you, but I don't want to see Deontay Wilder fight again.
Edward Brown is a massive Anthony Joshua fan, by the way, and he says boxing best sport in the world. He is also, to my knowledge, an amateur boxer,
Hmm.
and he's also a Liverpool fan as well, I believe.
What's next? What's next for Joshua then? Edward Brown. What's next for him? Where can he go? Will he be a heavyweight champion ever again?
And
Let's ask.
Brad, let me ask you a boxing question back and be polite, right? And we've seen the announcement now of Conor Benn versus Chris Eubank Jr. May I ask you your general thoughts and how you think the fight's going to go?
I just don't think I wasn't particularly interested in the fight at this before the fight got announced. The first one, just got dragged on the drug test or delay, the 2 year delay, and then the weight cut and seeing all that crap. I wasn't really a big fan of it. And then on the night, the boys turn up, they perform. Eubanks Senior turn up out of nowhere, and that touched most people's hearts. To be honest with you, that really did touch most people, and it really did spark something. I don't know how they do that again and recreate the desire to watch it, to create the the build up of that. I just don't know how you do that again. How you top that? What's next for them?
What's next? Who knows? For me, I'd look for Chisora fight, says Edward Brown, for a warm up fight, get a win under him, then fight Fury. What do you mean, Chisora versus Joshua? Then
I don't.
rematch Daniel in his last fight. Does Joshua deserve a fight with Dubois after what he's done?
I think Joshua will always bring in a crowd. Joshua will always be the big
Yeah,
name, even
but does he
even though he's
deserve?
not there. It's money in it. If it makes money, it makes sense in it. So a Joshua fight will always make a shitload of money. But the question is, does Joshua feel that he's actually still got it there? Like,
Yeah, I don't think so. No.
does he feel like he can actually take Dubois' licks and push on? Like,
Dubois belted his freaking head off last time. It was really bad, Brad, wasn't it?
he
And may I
doesn't
ask you?
care.
Can I ask you one more thing as well, right?
Yeah.
About boxing, Brad. We saw Jake Paul against Julio Cesar
Davis.
Chavez
Yeah.
Jr.
Yeah.
Just give us your thoughts on that as well.
Um,
Basketball
it,
for
it,
me.
the first thing that springs to mind is no drug testing, and it's commonly known that the Jake Paul brothers, although I can get in a lot of trouble for saying that, it's commonly, and I won't say it, but it's commonly known that the brothers are maybe juiced up. So even the guy who was fighting Chavez Juniors, he said that he wanted VADA testing, and Jake Paul's team said no. So the guy's a multi-millionaire. He's got the best of the best technology and stuff, and sports science, which normally means jabs in the arse or in the shoulder. And yeah, that's what I mean by that. And he's not particularly good. He keeps talking like he's good, and he couldn't beat Fury. He couldn't beat Fury. Tommy Fury.
Yeah,
Tommy Fury don't beat anyone like top 10 in any weight division.
yeah, that's right.
If he was disciplined enough to get down to weight, he would get knocked out in any fight against any top 10 fighter in that weight class.
Mm,
Because what is he? He's about 40. He walks around out. He's really oddly built. He's about 14 stones. There's no way he can cut himself down to fight.
yeah,
What it'd be like? Just
yeah.
no. Light heavyweight, he's going to fight light heavyweight, he'd get battered. He'd get battered by anyone.
Well,
So,
as someone said the other day, he calls out Anthony Joshua and then he calls out Javonte Davis, and you're thinking, are you stupid? One of them's 5'5"
yeah, Gervonta Davis is a bit
and
stupid.
weighs about 10 stone 3 or whatever, and the other one you're talking about is a bloody 18 stone freaking monster. You know, Edward Brown. I haven't been on X ever since we stopped the boxing business. That was over about a year and ago now. So I haven't been on since we stopped the boxing business. But if you ever want to catch me online, mate, you look at my username underneath my name here. It's the Suno Music Show on YouTube. I do a load of DJing on there now, right? And I will give you a shout out if you want tonight. And I gave Brud a shout out last night, didn't I, Brud?
You did indeed. You did indeed.
We
Hey,
played your
wait.
martial arts.
Let me see if I can. Let me see if I can get my song. I made a song up as well. I made a song up. Let me see if I can impress you over with one of my songs.
Go
One
on,
of my
go ahead,
rap.
go ahead.
One of my rap songs. My lyrics as well. Uh,
Nice. What, you actually wrote it, Brud, did you?
my lyrics, yeah.
Oh, get in there. If it's decent, mate, I'll pop it on there tonight for you.
Let's have a listen. Let's get my song up here. Bum, 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 bum,
Will you be
bum,
offended
bum.
if I say it's crap, though? Because you get all these bitch ass little AI artists that they can't handle someone saying their song's crap.
No, not at all, mate. Wrong person there,
Yeah,
sir.
I thought so. I thought so.
Wrong,
Do you know
wrong,
what I mean?
wrong person. Wrong person.
Yeah, I
Obviously,
thought so.
I'm not like like I said to you before. I'm a what's the word? What's the best way of describing it? I'm a happy-go-Larry sort of listening to my music in my car kind of guy. I'm not sitting there saying this is gonna be a hit somewhere or anything like that. So that's how I see it. Like if there will be people out there. Oh my God, I was listening to one or two singers the other day on TikTok and I was just like, oh my God, you guys might as well hang it up, mate.
Mate,
AI's got you pipped, mate. You may as well hang it up
I've been
because,
trying to tell them because they're crap.
yeah, it's not good
Like,
enough. Can you hear that?
yeah, I can, yeah.
Yeah, eyes open now. Can't pretend anymore. Woke up, cold sweat, mind full of static. World looking tragic, corruption automatic. TV talking loud, but it's all just plastic. Truth underneath, man, it's darker than blackness. Billionaires feast while the poor decay. Farmer got the cures locked miles away. Keeping us sick, so we gotta pay. Living in a rigged game, no escape. Kids starving, bombs dropping in the night. Leaders cash checks saying it's alright. Same old lies dressed up in the hype. But I'm wide awake now, seeing through the disguise. I'm finally awake, can't shut my eyes. Every kid blown up, every mother cries. I'm finally awake, no more disguise. Looking up to the sky, asking God why. If you're out there, we need you here. Bring that light, let the darkness clear. I'm finally awake, yeah, I'm finally awake. Politicians in suits with blood on their hands trade human lives for a couple $100,000. Missiles hit schools, we just scroll the gram. A world built for profit, they don't give a damn. Tired of the silence, tired of the fear. Tired of pretending that it's not severe. I see the whole system crystal clear. It was never about freedom, never sincere. I'm speaking for the voiceless, breaking the chain. For every soul lost in the hunger and pain. This is bigger than me, it's a global stain. Divine intervention, only hope remains. I'm finally awake, can't shut my eyes. Every kid blown up, every mother cries. I'm finally awake, no more disguise. Looking up to the sky, asking God why. If you're out there, we need you here. Bring that light, let the darkness clear. I'm finally awake, yeah, I'm finally awake. Free Palestine, let the children breathe. Tired of the blood that soaks these streets. Trump, you said America first, no more wars. Then you drop bunker busters, shattering doors. Netanyahu, you're a war criminal, you ain't the chosen one. Every bomb you authorize, every stolen son. History gon' judge the things you've done. You can't hide from the light of the blazing sun. Gotta be more.
What did you think?
It's a very long track,
Yeah.
and there's a very somber tone to it as well. So it's very dreary and sleepy. It's a bit like that, and also which is fine, but because you get some rap styles that are like that, don't you?
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah,
and
yeah.
that's a bad thing. But I'm just saying, in terms of energy, it's one of those. It doesn't lift you, in my
Mm,
opinion, as a
mm,
dancer. It just does that to you because of the guy's voice, and it's very dreary.
mm,
And also, just a bit of feedback when when you're writing these songs, brother, if you want a better sound, I know you're not that bothered about it because you enjoy the hobby of it anyway. So this ain't no schooling or nothing to you. But say where you've written any more at the start. If I was writing hip hop, I would never write any more. I'd write any more because that's how the Americans will pronounce it. So if you actually write your songs phonetically to how Americans pronounce them, rather than writing them in English like Shakespeare, like you have done, you'll get a much better sound from the robot because he'll know what you're trying to do, and he'll be a lot more on the hip hop for you. But you've got to write it phonetically. You can't write it like Shakespeare. I went to the school. No, you can't spell it. You can't.
What about the lyrics? Because that's probably the most. That's because most people have listened to it.
Not for me. Not for me because I'm not interested in politics. I'm not interested in Palestine.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in Israel. I'm not interested in Trump. I'm not interested in any of it. But if you're interested in that, Brud, well done to you, man. You may enjoy that, you know. But I'm not interested in political messages in music at all.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Most my sort of scene and following is literally all like, you know.
I understand, man. It's all good. It's all good.
Bruddc Entertainment, guys. Edward, thanks for joining in here, guys. You had an hour and a half special. It got heated with me and the man Nicky NU. Make sure you go check out. All the links will be below. Bruddc, Nicky, anyone to say anything you want to say before we roll?
Yeah, thank you, Bruddc. And you know, I'm just a bit angry today, Brud. Right, I've probably taken that a little bit out on you, if I'm honest. Right? And no, it's not even funny, bruv, because I'm angry about Jota, and I've been angry all day, right? And I've been taking it out on everyone. I've been a bit like that today, Brud. You know, with everyone, because I feel a bit pissed off today, man. You know, I feel a bit pissed off, Brud, with it. So I'm just generally angry today, and I want to say apologies to all the Liverpool fans. I hope you're all right. You know, all the football fans out there. I know Bruddc and I don't know you, but we are nice guys. We bless up everyone. We hope everyone's all right, dealing with it all right. We love this player as well, even though none of us are Liverpool fans. We love the footballer. So I'm just a bit gutted today, Brud. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'll leave it at
that. Rightly so. Peace and love to the world. Edward, thank you for the sub, buddy. Make sure you check us out for more.
Suno Music Show, Edward.